Hi YouTube, welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to share kind of a video diary, if you will. I was not at all planning on doing a video, but I went to the memorial service or the funeral service of a coworker of mine today. So the emotions are still a little bit raw, but in the drive back to my office after the funeral this morning, all kinds of thoughts were going through my head, and I figured that I'm just gonna put them out there for public consumption and just see what you thought. So this friend of mine that I've worked with for the last 9 years, tremendous respect for my friend. His name is Fred. Very professional man. He was one of the first people that I had the opportunity to work alongside when I first started my job about 9 years ago, and just a tremendous co-worker and friend and father and husband. He was a retired veteran of the U.S. Navy before he started working at the company that I work at. Anyway, he died very unexpectedly in a freak accident just a couple days ago. He died doing something that he loved. So he loved cycling. He was a very avid bicyclist, and he participated in bicycling events all across the southwest region of the United States. Anyway, he practiced daily, and in one of his rides just the other day, a vehicle pulled out abruptly in front of him, and he wasn't able to stop. He died from the injuries that resulted. And in a last heroic gesture, Fred was an organ donor, and so 3 people were able to benefit from the unfortunate passing of Fred. And so they carry with them a little bit of him moving forward. And anybody who had the opportunity to know him and work alongside him or be friends with him is also in another fashion going to carry Fred with them, myself included, as I go through the rest of my life. But the reason I wanted to do the video, knowing full well that nobody in the audience probably knew my coworker and friend, the funeral service was held at a Catholic church in southern Arizona, in Green Valley, Arizona. And those of you that are former witnesses know full well that funerals and memorial services are kind of a touchy subject, because if you've been in the organization for a long time, you know how they are perceived as opportunities to give a witness. So there tends to be a certain tone of it being an infomercial to people who would be attending that funeral service. And you also know, if you've been a witness or had been a witness for any length of time, you know how frowned upon it is for an active witness to step foot into another church. It's considered interfaith to participate in a funeral service held in a church. There are countless videos by former witnesses that have put their thoughts together on what it was like for them to be a non-witness currently and to sit through a witness funeral. And I'm not going to rehash any of that. Elsewhere in my channel, I put my own video out having to do with my thoughts on my father's memorial service at a Kingdom Hall. But the reason specifically that I wanted to put this video out is because I am not a Catholic, and I have very, very limited exposure to the ceremony that's associated with a Catholic funeral. But today, one of the things that buoyed my spirits is just the environment of being in that house of worship, a manner of worship that I am not familiar with. And when I first walked in there, I walked in by myself because I got there a little bit early. I knew there would be a lot of people there in attendance. So I got there a little bit early, and sitting down in one of the pews and preparing myself mentally and emotionally for this funeral service of a man that was taken far too quickly in life. there's never a good time to go. But anyway, I was just paying attention to my own emotions and how close to the surface that they were. And I was just wondering to myself, boy, I wonder how I'm going to be able to get through this, looking at the front of the church and seeing Fred's wife and his beautiful family, his teenage daughters and his young son, who's about the age of my son, and knowing the sense of loss, the acute sense of loss that they're still feeling, and just seeing them go through that pain. I was trying to steel myself emotionally for that experience. And one of the things that I noticed is that as the church began to fill up with other members of Fred's neighborhood and community and his congregation, as dozens and dozens of our co-workers showed up in a sign of solidarity, my spirits and my emotions changed, because I actually felt that as a community we came together to help this family carry this emotional burden through a very difficult time. And so therefore, I guess my reason for saying this, and one of the first thoughts that I wanted to get out, is if you have never been to a funeral service or a memorial service in a church of somebody who has a different faith than you, I would encourage you to have the intellectual and emotional curiosity to attend a service like that. I would highly recommend that you do that. Just to be able to observe and see how other people bear the burden of death, and how in the language of their particular faith, they try to share upbuilding thoughts. Now, all I know is my own experience, and I only know my own frame of reference. And you can read about things and listen to other people's stories, but there's something different about experiencing in person an experience. It just personally resonates with me differently. And what I saw manifest today is that there were a lot of people in that building, in that church, that were not Catholic. And so as part of the service, songs were sung, and people stood at certain times and sat down at other times and said the Lord's Prayer and read the 23rd Psalm and kneeled at other places or at other times in the ceremony. Those that were Catholic chose to, or an opportunity was given them to partake in communion. For those that were not Catholic and would not be partaking of communion, they were still welcome to come down and receive a blessing, which was, again, very interesting. So, not to say that anybody who went through that experience, there was no mention made of Catholicism.org, or to find out more about our hope, go to this website. Listen, everybody who knows anything about the Catholic Church knows that the Catholic Church has plenty of its own problems. But setting that aside, we're all human beings. We all live side by side and shoulder to shoulder with each other. And the reflection in the display of humanity that I saw today really gives me hope. That hope is not based on Catholicism. It isn't necessarily even based on the Bible, but just to be able to be in that environment and to see neighbors of different faiths rallying around a family that was in pain and listening to their spiritual shepherd them. And what I saw was very affirming. I saw the priest in this situation really speak directly to the widow and the children, and as heartbreaking as it was, the parents of Fred, and to really just make that personal eye contact and to share his own experience and to help put a language or an expression to the pain that they were feeling in their heart, and to know that there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people in that same building that were there for that family, to show them that they were very grateful to be able to have shared the experience of being with their loved one, and to know that he touched them, he touched all of us in our hearts. And I think it can help as if you're an ex-witness or a former witness, I think it can really help you to grow by going to the funeral service of a church you've never been in. And if there's some remnant or some artifact of witness belief and witness upbringing that is saying, wow, I'm participating in, some quote unquote false religious ceremony by being in this church. Listen, if the creator of heaven and earth is so petty that he's looking down upon you because you're trying to give a heartfelt expression of solace to a family at their darkest, that's more of a reflection of a very petty creator. And I pity people who see the divine in such a limiting fashion. That the creator of heaven and earth, if that is your belief, would actually be saying, oh, this person was bad because they walked into a building that I haven't anointed with my blessing. I think that's just baloney. We're all human beings. We're all going to experience times in our life that are painful. And to be able to just understand and see how people with certain backgrounds and upbringing and faith, how they are in the darkest times, just very, very illuminating. So I wanted to just share this. This is not scripted, completely off the cuff. I had no intentions of making a video today. But today was something that was impactful for me. And if it's impactful for you and you got anything positive out of this message, wonderful. I just wanted to kind of pay it forward, and I just wanted to share my thoughts as a stream of consciousness type of recording. And if you watch this and you felt that it was devoid of anything that was beneficial, fine, that's your journey. But thank you so much for carving out a couple minutes of your day to consider these thoughts. And find those that are dear to you today and just give them a hug and hold them for an extra second longer today, and let them know that you love them and you appreciate them, and just keep being excellent to one another. Have a good weekend.